time for 12:30. We're also starting the bikes up again at 12 o'clock. This is the 11 o'clock start-up time. What bikes have we got today? Well, we've got John Ring's little 250 Benelli, which he spent a lot of time on. Lovely little bike, of course. A replica of the great Pasolini and Pervini riding Benellis. Pervini, as you know, crashed at Sulby on a Benelli, riding into the sun on an early morning practice, and didn't realize he was at the end of the straight, and when he was still flat out, he went straight on. Not a good idea. We've got next to that is the Porcupine, which you probably heard running this morning. We're just starting it up. We had a few problems at Goodwood. Last week it was running at Goodwood. This time last week, so we had a bit of a problem with the Porcupine. So John Ring, Jim sorted it out. Very, very famous bike. 70 years this year since it won the first ever World Championship. First ever World Championship. First ever World Championship. With Les Graham on board, the great Les Graham. And he rode the Porcupines along with Jock West and Ted Friend. Wonderful man, and he was racing before the war, and then he was a Lancaster bomber pilot during the war, and he survived the raids and the bombing and came back to win the World Championship 1949. Next one along is the Gilera 500cc 4-cylinder. Probably my favorite. A lovely bike to ride, but none of you lot are going to ride it, only me. We've had it for some time, and of course the great Jeff Duke, Bob McIntyre, Bob Brown, great wins, great victories, and Jeff Duke on the Gilera was the ultimate combination, and Nortons and AJs and Villicets and MVs had no chance against the great Jeff Duke on this wonderful Gilera 4-cylinder. 1957, and Jeff left Norton's in 56, went to Gilera, and that was it. It was the ultimate combination of machine and man, and won the World Championship many times. The next bike along is the Motor Guzzi bi-cylinder gun. All you Ducati men, do you notice anything about it? All you Ducati guys, come on then, get sharpened up a bit. 120 degree V twin. Motor Guzzi's made the biggest mistake in their lives. They were winning world championships on that bike, early 50s, 53, 54, 55. Then the powers to be decided that they would drop the twin cylinder and go to the single cylinder. Big mistake. A few years later, Ducati come along and decided to make a 120 degree V twin, and they've only made about 3 or 4 million of them to date. So big mistake in Motor Guzzi. One of the reasons why we're firing this up today is because our next event with John Ring is the Cop Hill climb. So we're running the Gilera there, and we're running the bi-cylindrical, so we're just double whammy today, checking the bikes out, make sure they're okay, no last minute panics. So we'll be running the Gilera and the bi-cylindrical at the Cop Hill climb. Lovely bike to ride. When I was a young boy, I remember seeing the Guzzis and the Alaman, great Bob Foster, Lorenzetti, Manette Barrington, and they raced them also on the Ulster Grand Prix. Great success. Obo Tenney, Ruffo, all the great Guzzi riders raced the bi-cylindrical. So lovely bike. We've had it a lot of years now. We bought it in Italy, and one of the prizes of the museum. Great bike, and you'll be pleased to hear it running shortly. Next along is a 500 twin Bianchi. The Bianchi, again, a great Italian manufacturer, great Italian bikes. Great design, but a bit overcomplicated. It never really did a lot. There was too many complications. Speak to John Ring afterwards and he'll tell you why. Complicated, always led the races for the first half dozen laps until they started to play up and fall to bits. So when you get a moment, just have a look at the complications of the front brake anchor. Don't know how you'd ever come up with that. Or the back one. Designer's nightmare. So we're going to fire that up too. You can see the big sump, oil sump at the bottom, and very low. Not a nice bike to ride. I rode it at this time last year at Mallory. You find that some racing bikes are easy to ride and some are very difficult to ride, and especially if they've been designed for a 5 foot 6 stone jockey. When you get someone about 6 foot on them, it's a bit difficult, especially getting under the gear change and foot brake pedal and so forth. Very, very cramped riding style. But then again, that was to get the wind resistance down and keep the bike as narrow as possible, as low as possible. So that's the 500 Bianchi. Beautiful colours, striking colours, and a great Italian manufacturer. They've gone out of manufacturing now, but I think they were manufacturing bikes until quite recently. So we'll fire up the Gilera first. Where's my Jim? And